In the last video, we talked about the basics of our 3D floor plan. Today, we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive and talk about Mid-Century Modern. Mid-Century Modern is very popular these days, so I want to show you some of the elements that La-Z-Boy has to help you create that look. So we have the basics of the shape of our room, which we talked about in our last video. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on putting in some mid-century modern elements into this room. So first of all, let's just go ahead and get some frames in there. So I think we're gonna start with the Bexley sofa. This has a very contemporary mid-century modern look and shape to it. Another piece I want to be sure to use is a chair that we have called the Bellevue. This is another mid-century modern style chair. It's got some really cool legs on it, but this chair also swivels, so it's functional and fits the theme of our room. I want to be sure and use an ottoman this time too. One that I especially like is the Logan Circle Ottoman. It's a great piece. You can move it easily around the room, but it also follows that same style that we're going for. So I just want to go ahead and get some of these pieces placed into the room, just kind of play around with it. Looks like I have space for at least 2 sofas in this room, so let's see if we can make that work. If not, we can take one down to maybe a love seat size. I'm gonna go ahead and just rotate this chair around a little bit more. Okay, get those into place there. And I like the way that the 2 sofas looks in this room. Let's put it down in 3D and look around and see what we think. The only concern that I would have would be how this kind of sticks out into this opening a little bit, but I don't think that it cuts anything off. I don't think that it makes the room feel any smaller, so I'm just gonna leave it. I do really like that, and 2 sofas is always nice. It's an extra seat. So let's go ahead and start adding some accessories, which is my favorite part. So let's go into rugs. Let's go ahead and get our correct rug size in here. And I want to pick something that has a little bit more of a mid-century look to it. So that's an 8 by 10 or 8 by 11. I feel like that may be a little bit small. So let's see if we can find anything maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, I like that one better. So let's go ahead and delete that smaller one. And this is a cool rug. This definitely has some cool mid-century elements that we can work off of, as far as some different fabrics for our sofas and chairs and our ottoman. Yeah, this is cool. So let's go ahead and play with some fabrics and see what we can find. See what there is out there. La-Z-Boy has tons of fabrics to choose from, so there really is no shortage of options, what you can do. I don't love the way that looks. A lot of times in a mid-century look, you'll see a lot of clean lines and a lot of simple elements. One big proponent of mid-century modern is the idea that form follows function. So this is going to be, anything that's in the room is going to have a function. If it's there, you have to have it. If it's in the room, if you've taken up space in your room for it, it's because it has a function in your room. So we're gonna make sure we use that knowledge going into adding our end tables and our accessories and things like that. Everything will have a purpose and it will all be used. So let's just go ahead and pick, man. Just go ahead and pick a neutral fabric here. Go ahead and copy it here. One thing that I want to point out is I'm going to go ahead and delete this sofa out. One thing I want to point out to you is once you get all of the fabrics on that you want, so I'm going to go ahead and select a pillow fabric here. We can just duplicate it so you don't have to go back and find all of those fabrics again, because that can be a little annoying to have to go back and search through all those fabrics that you had just gone through. I'm going to add this geometric print on the pillows. I think that it's a really nice, it gives a little bit more of a modern look. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this and then just rotate it into place. Put the floor back on in 2D and look at it like this. So I like the way that looks. Let's go ahead and look at some fabrics for our ottoman. I'm thinking maybe like a bright yellow or an orange. There is no true color scheme that is typical to mid-century modern. You can go all neutrals and play with different textures, or you can go with some bright, bold, different colors and still achieve the same look. So I want to today play with some different fabrics, some different colors and patterns, and create a really pretty mid-century modern room for myself. So I just picked a fabric for the ottoman. So now I'm just filtering through and looking at some options for the chair. You can really take your time and find something that you really, really like. And then always come into a store and we can show you that fabric in person, which would be my suggestion. I think that's the easiest way to make your final decisions, is seeing it in person. So just filtering through, looking at some different things here. I want to see what this looks like. I'm going to zoom into that chair and see how I feel about that. Don't love that. So you can always zoom to the chair also and see what you think about it up close. I want to look at this green window pane. I kind of like that. I think that fabric too really nicely highlights the lines of that chair, so you can really start to see that mid-century modern come together. I like that little pop of color, so I'm going to leave that in that green. I like that a whole lot. So now let's look at some options for our end tables, and then we'll start adding some elements for artwork and lamps and those kind of things. So going into accessories here, we're going to look, we're just kind of filter through and see what we can find. We don't need a coffee table because we have the ottoman there. And the ottoman is really nice because, going back to that form follows function, it's functional, but it's also useful in the space. You can put your feet up on it. You can put a tray on top of it and use it as your coffee table. So it serves some dual functions for you. So just kind of filtering through and looking at some of the different table options here. I think that these look a little bit too traditional for what I'm going for. Let's go in and see if there's anything in Kincaid that they have that fits the style of what I'm looking for. Let's go back to hammering. I kind of like these tables, the Franklin end tables from Hammery. And you'll see too that there are multiple shelves and a drawer there, so highly functional pieces for this space. Add a lot of storage in there for you. So I'm just going to flank this sofa with end tables on either side, and then we'll find a small martini table for beside the chair so that you have whoever's sitting there has a space to set a drink down, or if they're sitting there reading, they can put their book down, that kind of thing. So I just want something a little bit simple. So I think I'm just going to choose this small black table here, just a small little table to sit right beside that chair. I'm gonna back all the way up and look at all of this again. Just make sure I like the way that everything's looking. If you don't love the way that things are looking at this point, switch it up, move things around, change out the sofa to a love seat. You never know, making a small change like that may completely change your mind. Let's go ahead and start maybe looking at some accessories. So we'll look at some table lamps, filter through these and look and see what we can find. I especially like these. I think that they really have a nice mid-century look to it, but it also mimics the legs on the chairs that we've chosen. So I'll zoom in a little closer to those. So you'll see how it has kind of the same legs as the chair that we've picked. You can kind of see it right there. So I like that. Any way that you can kind of tie in other elements from the room is always nice too. It kind of helps to give you a completed, finished look. Let's look at some artwork. Again, just like everything else in here, there's tons of options. So take your time and filter through. Find something that you really like. And if you don't love the way that the artwork looks, at least it can give you an idea of something that you can find in its place. There's measurements, there's dimensions for all of these pieces in the floor plan, so you know at least what size can fit over the sofa or the fireplace or whatever space you're putting it. Let's look at this clock over the sofa. Again, mimics the shape of the ottoman, so I like adding that element in there. Anytime you, like I said, you can repeat shapes like that is nice to help give you just a completed look. Let's find something for this wall, maybe a nice piece of artwork for this wall. That's kind of cool. That pulls in some nice colors from the ottoman and the rug as well. So I think I like that. I'm going to leave that there. The room in 2D and get a nice full view of the room. Now you can start adding in accessories. Go back and filter through those accessories as well and see what you can find. There's a lot of options for you, and you can really find a nice completed look for your room. So those are some of the elements that La-Z-Boy has to help you create a mid-century modern look. If you have any questions, or if you have any ideas of what you would like to see in the next video, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. We'll be happy to help. Or, as always, you can stop into your local La-Z-Boy store and we will be happy to help you.